So Gizmodo has released some interesting insider information about the PlayStation 5. Let's get into it.
Skip it up and that up.
So if you remember a while back, there was a big to-do about whether this was the PS5 dev kit or what the console was actually going to look like. Here's the picture. It kind of, for some reason, reminds me of the Amstrad GX4000, but I had a feeling it was a dev kit, and yes, it is confirmed now that that was a dev kit. I can't picture Sony releasing a console that actually looks like something out of the early 90s. Remember when everything tried to be super futuristic looking in the early 90s, and it just ended up signifying the early 90s? That's what that dev kit looks like, and it looks like the Amstrad console. But it's a dev kit, and the dev kit's official name is Prospero. And Gizmodo was saying they saw images of that dev kit of the PS5, the Prospero dev kit, before it was leaked into the wild. So they knew it was the dev kit, and it's pretty much confirmed now that is the PlayStation 5 dev kit. There's no question at this point. Now, I guess cameras, again, are going to be a thing with the PlayStation 5. This is according to Gizmodo. This is insider information. Nothing's confirmed yet, but the PS5 is using older camera tech than the next-gen Xbox is going to use, the Xbox Scarlet. They're really going hardcore with camera technology, so I guess some kind of Kinect-ish thing is going on. I can't see them going back to Kinect because Kinect is just done. It's over with, but maybe this is a VR recipe that both Sony and Microsoft are cooking up individually, but maybe that's what the camera tech is for, and they're building it into the console in some way, shape, or form, so using VR is easier. We'll have to wait and see, but again, this is coming from Gizmodo. This is things they're saying. We'll have to see what happens. Now, this is interesting because we know that both the PlayStation 5 and next Xbox, the Xbox Scarlet, are using AMD technology, both for the CPU. They're using Zen 2 tech, and they're also using AMD for the graphics side of things. They're using the Navi architecture. But according to Gizmodo, they're actually going about ray tracing differently. Both the PS5 and Scarlet are going to use different ray tracing techniques, which is interesting because they're basically using the same hardware in terms of what they're getting their tech from AMD. It's the same stuff. So maybe it's API. Maybe Sony's API is going to utilize ray tracing differently than Microsoft's, but what question that leaves, if this is true, this is insider information, let's take it as rumor and take it with a grain of salt, which implementation of ray tracing is better? Which one will developers like better? Because if one is easier to utilize, that means the other one might kind of sort of be left out in the cold. So if, say, Xbox Scarlet uses a much easier to work with form of ray tracing and easier to program for, that might hurt Sony in the long run, almost to a much smaller extent, kind of how the cell processor in the PS3, because it was tough to work with, hurt the PlayStation 3 initially. Or it may not. Who knows? Maybe PlayStation 5's utilization of ray tracing in its API will be easier to work with and program for, and it'll hurt the Xbox Scarlet. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know at this point. All Gizmodo is saying is how they're utilizing ray tracing in each of the next-gen consoles is different. So which one will be better? I'm sure Digital Foundry in 2020 will let us know, and I'm sure developers will let us know. But right now, we just know they're using different ways to actually work with ray tracing. And lastly, the insider source that Gizmodo had said that this upcoming generation will be the largest computer leap of any generation, like bigger than the PS2 to PS3, bigger than the PS3 to PS4. They're saying going from the PS4 to PS5 is easily going to be the biggest tech jump in terms of how much more capable the next-gen systems are. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I know I repeated that 75 times in this video, but this is what Gizmodo is saying. And it does have more gravity to it because this is a reliable tech journalism website. It isn't just some dude on Reddit saying this. So there has to be some credibility behind it. Maybe some of the information they have here is inaccurate, but I'd be surprised if everything in this article from comicbook.com, I'll have listed below in the description, is wrong. So, and I kind of believe it because the PS4 processor and Xbox One processor, those Jaguar cores, were super anemic from the get-go. And now that we're going to the Zen 2 architecture from AMD for the next-gen consoles, that is a big jump. I know that for a fact. So I can believe that this is the biggest compute jump ever from console to console, for Sony at least. So again, this information, along with other information that I've discussed on this channel, makes me very excited for next generation. I wasn't as excited going from the PS3 and 360 to the PS4 and Xbox One. I've explained numerous times, I thought the initial launch consoles were a little lackluster. I became more impressed with the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, even though I was kind of cynical of them before they first came out. But this jump this time just seems like they're using Zen 2, which I know I own Zen 2 chips. They're more than capable of being utilized in next-gen consoles. They're using the Navi GPU. They're going to have hardware, ray tracing, acceleration built in. So it's an exciting time, man. The eve of next-generation consoles is here, and we're going to hear more information about them. And every time I hear more information, it makes me more and more excited, not more and more confused and frustrated like I felt when we were going from the PS3 and 360 to the PS4 and Xbox One. So we still got over a year to go, but next gen is going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.